Hello folks, this is Dmitry. Welcome to my weekly listener recap. This is going to be an exciting one, and not only because of the puzzle that is on your screen, but also because of something that happened yesterday, and I'm going to put a link to that something in the description. Specifically, Simon Anthony from Cracking the Cryptic recorded a video of solving cryptic crossword with Grandmaster Peter Svidler. And this is something that is a bit of an early Christmas present for me, and actually a fulfillment of a dream that I had for about 3 years. And I guess I need to say a few words about that. So I think I discovered chess as a spectator sport, sort of rediscovered my love for chess. I used to play when I was at school. I was never too good, but I mean, my grandfather taught me when I was little, and then I kind of largely forgot about it. And around Carlsen-Karakin match, I somehow stumbled upon Chess24 and fell in love with chess, as a viewing pastime. And the main reason why that happened was the commentator duo of Jan Gustafsson and Peter Svidler. And this was such an amazing period when they were commentating on classical chess and making all kinds of detours into discussing, British sitcoms and cricket and whatnot. And that was not detrimental to sort of the chess quality of the commentary. I mean, obviously, I'm not a great expert in the chess quality of the commentary, but I mean, it made things clear to me, which I guess is one of the ways of describing the quality of a chess commentary. But also it was just an amazing conversation that was great to follow. And somehow in the recent years, sort of this way of commentating on chess a little bit disappeared, as now with Chess.com kind of buying everything, they think that it should be commentated as some kind of American sport in a more dramatic way and less relaxed. So I miss that a lot. And also, in general, I mean, Peter is a person that I find, in those rare moments when he gives interviews, and whether they are on chess or not, and obviously I can't really follow the chess content, but whatever he speaks on, I find myself often very much agreeing with sort of not only what he says, but also how he says it. And I mean, if you don't know, so Peter is one of for many years, one of the top grandmasters in the world. I think at his peak ranking he was fourth in the rankings at some point. And but when he started commentating, I think many top players think of him as the best chess commentator in English. And so his the way he's immersed in sort of British culture is a bit astonishing, given that I don't think he ever kind of really lived in the UK. And so with his, famous self-deprecating humor and love for cricket, I somehow always thought that he should love cryptics. And if not, that just, no one showed Peter cryptics, and this has to be fixed somehow. And then 5 years ago, I discovered Cracking the Cryptic channel and Simon Anthony. And I always thought that, for me, the way Simon solves puzzle and talks about them, less so with Mark, but specifically with Simon, it is very much Svidler-esque and I found similarity in their styles. And so when in one of his videos, Simon mentioned that he's actually a fan of Peter he's also a chess fan, and he's not a chess player, but he likes to watch chess, and specifically his favorite commentator is Peter Svidler. I thought this really has to happen. And they still, of course, did absolutely nothing, because, I mean, who am I to approach any of them? And then finally, a few months ago, it turned out that Peter actually started solving minute cryptics and made a somewhat unsuccessful foray into the Times. I don't know whether it was like quick cryptic or the main one. And at which point I sent him a comment on Blue Sky and said, pointed, I think, him somewhat towards cracking the cryptic. And then I sent a message to Simon, and I wondered whether this might be there might be potentially a cracking the cryptic video in all of this. And yesterday it was released, and I very much encourage you to go and watch it. Okay, 6 minutes of detour over. Let's now move to the puzzle on your screen. It's called Rugby Line Compromise, a very long title, and it's by Mountain Ledges, a very long pseudonym. And turns out that Mountain Ledges had only one listener before that, and it was 9 years ago. So this probably was quite long in the making, and yeah, let's have a look at it. In 20 clues, a misprinted letter must be corrected to enable solving. The letters halfway from the misprints to their corrections, counting forward alphabetically and counting at A after Z, spell out a thematic region and its description. In 7 cells, normally clued cross and down answers clash, and the letters must be replaced with a dot. The clashing letters, read row by row, spell out an associated thematic region, the cause of a disagreement. Solvers must join the dots with one horizontal line and 4 straight segments to show a diagram of the theme and highlight the 5-letter names of 2 further thematic regions. One answer is an abbreviation. So where should I start here? Well, first of all, I should start, and this is probably not the first time I mentioned this, with the comment that misprints in the clues, unlike misprints in the definitions, are really hard to solve, typically. In particularly when they do not occur in every clue. So here we have some clues which are just normal, and some clues where there is a misprint, and this misprint could be anywhere. And so let's have a look at some of them. Oops. How did that happen? Let's have a look at some of them. So some misprints, they kind of jump on you because you think this is a word that you're... So how to put it? This is a word that you used to know that exists in crosswords a lot, and so it's very helpful if we could make it. So for example here, firmer giants, and you think, aha, we can misprint firmer to former, and this is a very typical indication of the archaic word, and so this is very probable that that might be a misprint. Or what were the other ones which... So I solved it on paper, so which ones were among the first ones I got from the misprints? Maybe like this litter and letter, very, again, chances are might be a misprint. But some others were very, very hard to get. And And in general, I think the clues were very chewy, a lot of them, and there was a good selection. I mean, some of them were fairly easy and very gettable. I didn't note this time sort of which were the ones that I solved first, but I can probably... I think it was actually this one. And the funny thing is that even though I solved it first, I still don't know exactly how it works. And the fact that it's sort of... You kind of know that Drunken Late clenches fist missing all of something. Given that this is 5 letters and this is 4 letters, you really think it's an anagram of this, which goes around something like that without, without one of the letters. And because this is 9 letters, the answer is... And turns out the answer is id al-Fitr, which I'm not sure I know how to pronounce, but this is some, I believe, Muslim festival. And so, as you can see, there is a dran cloud, which is around fit. And so we need to remove S from fist somehow. So missing all of... I still don't know exactly how it works, because that is one of the maybe 2 misprints that I know which letter I need to get. But because you get the letter in your message by taking this halfway between a misprint and the correction, that I haven't really checked. So I think one way it would work, I think, is this, because has could be abbreviated to this. And so I know that it has to give us W. Whether W is halfway between I and A, I'm not too sure. W, it probably is not actually. So maybe that's wrong, and I will remove it. Interesting. Anyway, but I think this is roughly how it works. And as you can see, we solved it without even finding the correct misprint and the correct corresponding correction. Now, I did note here, I put a lot of notes next to individual clues, so let me show you some that I really enjoyed. Identify Book of Vespers for the Dead. Turns out the answer is placebo, and I just had no idea that it means Vespers for the Dead. And that I really enjoyed it just because I got this knowledge that I didn't have. It's not a hard clue, so place is identify, B is an abbreviation for book, and O, off could be shortened to O. I don't know, like cat o' nine tails maybe or something. So that was one of them. Some of them took me absolute ages and thus got their notes. I think I'll probably show you those when I get the full grid, because then it would be easier to show at which stage I was when I solved them. But one of them I think I want to show straight away, which is this one. Eft mostly supported by stylus, note, card, or earlier coin. This is the one where the answer is... So there is a misprint here. You need to change cards to yard, and that would give you the letter N in your message, because it's halfway from C to Y, and yard could be abbreviated to Y. And the answer here is a down clue, so the answer here is new penny, and I'll tell you why I really like this clue in a second. Let's first see how that works. So eft, when it is not capitalized, is newt, and so mostly it is new. And then this new is, it's a funny way to just, to give new, but it's as eft mostly. And then that new is supported by pen, N for note, and Y for year. And the definition is earlier coin. And this is one of my favorite questions that I like, which I like to ask, my non-UK friends, but even some UK friends don't know this. So there are this, well, for example, I even have one here. So this is a two penny coin, and on a 2-penny coin, you have two pence. Sorry, it's 2 pence coin, and it says 2 pence. And this was minted in 1988. And if you get a somewhat earlier version of this, which is still in circulation, but if it says something like 1979 there, it will also say pence here, but instead of 2, there will be another word. And by now, obviously, now that we've seen the clue, we know that they say new pence. And I find it somewhat interesting that it's the older coins that have new on them, which is perfectly logical if you think about it, as when decimalization happened, they changed pounds, shillings, and pence to just pounds and the new penny and new pence, and so they put new on the coins, and then after a few years it became not as new, and so they removed it from the coins. And I think somewhat similar situation happens when you see street names like New Street and New College is not very new, and New Street is typically not very new. So I really enjoyed that it references this fact, and indeed, so Chambers explicitly says that earlier it was new penny. So really, really like that one. What else? Yeah, and then maybe I should show some other clues when I have the field grid. Okay, so here is one nice one which took me absolute ages. So Nan who served once in Columbus, Ohio, and it kind of, and I think at some point I even had something like this. And I thought, well, it clearly is man who served once. And so that it must be vet. Oh, and maybe I didn't have this O at the end. I just had V. Yeah, I had something like this. And so I really wanted it to be vet. And N, becoming M. And somehow, okay, and okay, and maybe I should have realized that this is. So I'm just thinking whether the substitution is even allowed, as in like if there is a halfway point between them. But anyway, and that didn't work because then I know that Ohio could be O, but kind of what to do with Columbus and where is the definition, and so yeah, and turns out the answer is veto, and it's not man, it's actually ban. And so who served once in Columbus is vet. It's, I think because vet maybe is an American abbreviation, and so O is a higher and veto is a ban. And so yeah, that gives you N to B and I think U in the message. Okay, so let's look at the field grid. As you can see, there are some clashes in it. And yeah, and here I have to show the other pair of clues. So I think here I just had PSA, where A came from the down clue, so I had it filled, but I knew it couldn't be right, and I don't know how close the misprints are located to each other. And I couldn't solve it. And then there was this clue, which I also hadn't solved at the time. And there this pair, 6th after 26 horsepower Ferraris finish, and I thought horsepower is HP, I is Ferrari's finish, and I thought maybe we have to rearrange it somehow and to get phi, and maybe phi is the 6th letter or 6th after something. And then I looked, 26 is this, which I thought is letter. And so then I thought, aha, that maybe now another Greek letter. And indeed, it turns out that hor is moderation. And so then, after thinking about 24, that allowed me to get 26 by now thinking that it's a letter, and specifically that it's a Greek letter. And then it turns out that 24 is psi, and this is because this also is horsepower, but in German. And but this is an abbreviation which is in chambers. And so that allowed me to get those two. And then there was this one, which has two clashes in it. And so I had no idea what it was, and I only got it from the end game. So let's get on to the end game. At some point, I got in those extra letters, I got something iangle, and I thought it could be triangle, but I wasn't sure. And then at some point in the messages, you got something like BRT, and it is really tempting to think it's something like British, but it isn't. Turns out it is Bir Tawil, and the description is terra nullius. And I was lucky to spot it. I mean, I still spotted it at very, very late, but at least I knew what this was all about. And the reason I knew what this was all about is because it's one of those things which, again, I probably should have known even before that, but I learned about it about 10 years ago from the video by Jay Foreman and Mark Cooper Jones, also known as Mapman. And funny enough, the new Mapman video, and they release them very infrequently, like once every couple of months, if not even rarer. And the new one came out yesterday, and the same day as Simon Peter video came out. But 10 years ago, they recorded a video about Bir Tawil triangle, and this, Bir Tawil region, and the associated with it, as we can now read in the grid, Halaib triangle. So Halaib triangle and Bir Tawil are on the border between Egypt and Sudan, and you might already spot Egypt and Sudan here. And basically what happened there was that there are two kind of borders. There was one which was just a border along the certain parallel, 22nd parallel, I think. And then there was another version of the border that was somehow more kind of sensitive to kind of local kind of population distribution. And I should have checked it before recording this video on Wikipedia, but I thought I knew it sufficiently well, but then, which definitely is not the case. And then what happened, I think, is that so let me now, as the preamble says, change these two dots. Oh, that's not a dot. Change these two dots and come up with a diagram. So these are the dots, and now I can do straight line here. Oh, maybe I should have a thinner line. Straight line there, and this. So this is it. And in reality, this is a coast, and there is a sea here. So this thing here is Halaib triangle, and this thing here is Bir Tawil. And at some point, I think they found some natural resources in the Halaib triangle, and so both countries they claimed the partition which favored them. So in other words, Egypt said that they want to use this border where everything to the north is Egypt and everything to the south is Sudan. And Sudan said, no, let's use this border where everything to the north is Egypt and everything to the south is Sudan. And because both countries claimed this region, that means that neither of the countries claimed that one. And so it is one of the very few places on Earth which no country, it's a land which no country claims. Yeah, and so I believe this is what you have to submit here. What do I think about all of this? I mean, I know I'm biased here, but I absolutely love good map puzzles. I would probably be like even more thrilled if this was the first time I learned about Terra Nullius and this idea that there is some land on Earth which no one claims. But even so, this was extremely pleasing. And again, just the clues were very, very, very good. Which was, oh yeah, the other one. This was a wonderful clue as well. And the one which was very hard to get because so here I got, this was roulade from the down clue, and I couldn't get 22 across, and then I realized it is actually an end lit. Bits of anthropodothoraxes on back. So it turns out you need to take bits of anthropodothoraxes, this is AT, and then on, and then you have to reverse it, get it back, and you get nota. And if you look at the definition of nota, it is the plural for some notum, which is a bits of anthropodothoraxes on back. So yeah, nice and lit. And I think I only got it again via the endgame where I realized that I need TR here for the word triangle to make it work. Yeah, absolutely wonderful puzzle. I think I'll probably put the link to Mapman video in the comments as well. So do watch both of those, but especially, of course, Peter and Simon. It's just such a pleasure to see those two solving together. And yeah, I'm really, really, really happy that it did happen. Thank you for watching and see you next week. Bye.